Welcome back to Revenge of the Fallen Randomness, and this one I've been wanting to do for a while. We've already had a look at movie RC on this channel. We've also briefly talked about her appearance in the IDW comics. Despite her not appearing in the first movie as she was intended to, she made a very heavy impact in the expansion comic. By the way, I don't care what anyone says, those comics are canon to the first 3 movies and they vastly improve them. So fight me. But anyway, RC was the leader of a troop of straggling Autobots that never made it to Earth. They were successful until they got caught up in the middle of a coup between the Decepticon drone leaders and Starscream, which led to most of them being either captured or killed by Thundercracker later on. Thundercracker, of course, takes her, alive but unconscious.
No means no, Bill Cosby.
She would later wake up to find out not only had she died, been brought back to life, in a new body, attached to Elita 1 and Chromia's consciousness, and her entire squad had been wiped out. This was not her day.
Enter Revenge of the Fallen.
RC would make an appearance in the movie, not in the first Toy Line's body, but a weird body that makes her look like Beast Machine's thrust, which is an after product of the comics. And Elita 1 and Chromia would follow suit as they also joined her in the movie. And they're also unicycling it up. So the question has to be asked, how does this translate to toy form? Well, of course the best place to start is RC, of course. For starters, this bike mode is made to resemble the Ducati they used in the movie, and they did a pretty good job without it being completely licensed. And right off the bat, you're probably noticing the color. It's not pink as you would expect, it's more of a salmon red. I honestly really like it compared to the normal RC pink and white. And you've got the black to break it up a little bit, which is nice. But the detailing is pretty good on her. A molded seat with a very discreet Autobot logo, dual exhaust, and these samurai type wheels which are slick as hell. And you'll notice in places where a lot of crotch rocket riders put kanji, she's got cyberglyphics. This one is what translates to the letter X, and the other one on the other side, it's just gibberish. I looked through the entire alphabet and there's no translation for this whatsoever. As for features, she rolls, just not great. Also, you can take her sidecar, which has machine guns on it, and just clip it onto the side, and that'll help her roll a little bit better. But that's about it for RC. Now, these two are the exact same for reasons we will get into later, so we're just going to talk about them both comparatively. Chromia is also a pretty good looking bike with the blue and the cyberglyphics again. As for Elita 1, she's a bit weird because this is where the randomness of these 3 begin. Because it's clear in the movie that 1, she didn't share a body with Chromia, and 2, she wasn't black and rose gold. And it's not even really rose gold, it's more of this weird, ugly bronze color. And it's funny because Japan got the purple color, but no, instead she's a repaint over here, and she's in the color of your grandma's Grand Marquis. So yeah, I would say that I like Chromia a lot more. But for features they roll, I would add worse than RC. And they both have this stand turret with treads thing, and to be honest, I always thought this looked stupid. Like, I guess it's like a bike stand to work on the bike, but still, I think it's stupid as hell. Also, for those who want to know, these are loosely based on Suzuki B-Kings. But that about wraps up the vehicle mode, so let's transform them. For transformation, it's a bit of an ordeal to get her back into bike mode, but not to go to robot mode. The way 2 robot mode isn't bad, but no surprises. However, I do like how the 2 wheels fold together. And the more I look at it, her transformation is kind of like Armada Nightbeat, which is really weird when I think about it. Now, this is weird because these 2 are a lot more simple than RC, but they do a lot more to surprise me, like the bike mode splitting in half, rising, and then putting itself back together like you see right here. I've never seen something like that happen before in Transformers, and I really like how that turned out. And in robot mode, RC makes my back hurt. Holy hell, that spine! What is up with her spine? What did Flatline do to you, girl? Jeez. I mean, I get the design, she was experimented on, but sweet shit, go to the chiropractor once in a while. Okay, Miss RC, this won't hurt a bit. Just take a deep breath and blow.
Now I'm seeing why I don't have a license in chiropractic.
Again, I get why she looks like this, but man, this is still a random choice for a robot. Detail and color-wise, not a lot's changed from bike mode, but there's a lot more black on display here, and you can get a good look at the head sculpt, which, honestly, I like a lot. It's also the main link between the molds because they all share the exact same head, which is really interesting to me. And when I say same head, I mean the exact same molding and the exact same size. They didn't shrink them down to fit the transformation or anything. They're exactly the same. Back to talking individual robots, Chromia reminds me the most of Beast Machine's Thrust. Not how she transforms, but how she ends up in robot mode with basically her vehicle mode standing up. As if that's not the whole premise of Transformers. I can't believe I just said that. Shut up. I also find her more cohesive than RC though, and quite a bit more interesting. Mainly because she doesn't have a chiropractor's nightmare for a midsection. But yeah, as a group, I like how all three of these look. Together, they look great. Now, I've been ignoring this the whole video so far, so I guess I should bring it up now. Elita 1 looks nothing like she does in the film. Well, besides the head. But no, nothing. Everyone knows she's supposed to be a separate design from the other two, but this is another aspect of the randomness of these toys. They just didn't make the third bike mold.
And for those who own these figures, we both know that this is going to cause some problems when we get to features.
Speaking of features, let's get into RC. She's got a spring-loaded button that extends a blade from her cannon. And yes, this is obviously a cannon because you can also take the sidecar and plug it into her arm for the correct side her blaster is supposed to be on. But then you can't stand her up, so what the hell?
Damn it.
As for the other two, it goes as follows. The bike stand cannon tread thing can be their stand, and they have an arm cannon with a spring-loaded missile. And that works really well. They also have a little bit of Mech Alive in there, and I forgot to mention this with RC, but she also has it in her chest, but it doesn't really work very well anymore on mine for some reason.
And now we need to talk articulation. Now, you would think with RC's weird external spine that she'd be pretty good, right? Well, kinda. Her head is on a ball joint, and you can do that whole automorph thing. It's fine. It does what it needs to. The arm is universal, and I believe on the inside it's on a mushroom peg when it spins this way. So that's nice. And then you also have a ball joint here, and then a ball joint at the elbow. And then, of course, you can move this how you want. When you fold it up, it can go fold it up like that, and then you can just move that in or down wherever you want. That's nice. And then the other arm is on a ball joint all the way around. The elbow is on a ball joint. It can only go to there, though, because the exhaust pipe is blocking it a little bit. And then the hand can move in and out like that. Now, the spine is where things get a little bit weird. It's on a ball joint right here, so it can swivel around to that limit right there, and it can come in that far, and it can rotate like that and do a little wave, I guess, or do a little, I don't know, I guess you can do the Uzi Vert dance, I guess, I don't know. Whatever. She can swivel here. I guess you count that as a waist swivel, because, I mean, it's in the right spot. And then there's a hinge here, and then there's a ball joint here. And lastly, there's another hinge there. So she's okay. She's not terrible. You can definitely get some good poses out of her, but nothing too crazy. Now, as for these two, you've also got a ball joint at Chromia and Elita 1's head here. You've got ball joints at the shoulders. Then you get some asymmetrical articulation with the arms. It moves inward there, and then you can go forward as well, like so, and then the wrists do nothing. They're just molded in there, static. So it's the same ball joint at the shoulder there, another mushroom peg rotation. Then it gets really weird, okay? So you've got an outward movement there, which functions as a weird sideways elbow, and then the Mech Alive lets you go inward like that. So your best bet to get an elbow out of this side would be just to use the Mech Alive inward like that. That's your elbow for the most part. And then really, you can only, for the rest of her, you can only move these ball joints here, but she starts to split apart up top. So you only really want to move that much. And then the wheels can come up like that. And that's really about it. So in terms of articulation, RC is actually the superior one of the two different molds here. But I think they're fine for what they are. It's not too bad.
So the reason I discussed articulation before this last feature is because it becomes completely irrelevant. See this clip on the back of RC's back here? Well, that's on all three of them. Why? They're supposed to combine. But, as many of you know, there's 0 instructions for this thing. So attach RC's base back to her arm, struggle to clip the other two onto her, then take a good hard look at this clusterfuck until you can try to position it into something that looks somewhat like this. Only problem is it can't. It can't look like this because this never came out. Yeah, that's right. For this to work the right way, we need a third bike that just doesn't exist. Knowing this wouldn't happen, Hasbro released no instructions for this, leaving these toys with random combiner pegs that have nothing to do, except for leaving kids and collectors scratching their heads saying,
"What the f*** is that? What the f*** is that? What the f*** is that?"
And that applies double considering it was cut from the movie too, which is probably why Hasbro decided not to make the third bike and think, oh, they won't notice. Well, guess what? We did, you cheap fucks. Really quick, I want to shout out a YouTube channel called Misfit Robot. I just want to commend him for being able to try and solve this back in the day without the third bike, and he came really close to getting it to match the concept art, and it's honestly because of him that I was able to even get remotely close to combining these things the correct way. So just if you want to take an attempt at this, I would actually go check out his video because it's very, very helpful. But to wrap things up, these things are not the greatest. Cool designs and all, but I think their shortcomings were all in favor of this combine mode that didn't even happen. So, at what cost, you know? Now, do I think they're bad? No. But they're not great either. Because they feel a little unfinished, and honestly, they are. Because of the third bike not coming out, and they can't combine. So, yes, they do feel a little unfinished. But, as I said, they do look good as a set, and they do look nice on a shelf. So, if you want to check them out, go for it. Now, for this next video, all I can tell you is we're going to have a look at a toy that's both set in its ways, but very confused on just what the hell it's doing. So, I'll see you right back here next time for more Revenge of the Fallen randomness. Treebot, out.